We back. You know what time it is? Episode 5 of Power Book 3 Raising Kanan. This one had this one was pretty lit, bruh. So let me play the intro music. Give the people who haven't seen the time to find something else to do because spoilers about to happen. And those of us who watched it already, we about to get into episode 5. Let's go. So we start the episode with Kanan getting fresh, right? He putting together an outfit. I feel like he's about to go out with Davina, but I don't know what happens with this. He just put on this outfit. He wipes off some blood on his shoes. And, 50 Cent's narrating as he normally do about fighting every day with the streets and yourself. This is probably gonna lend very well. Well, it does. It lends very well to the actual episode about choosing your battles. That's the title of episode 5, Choose Your Battles. And 50 Cent's narration, plays right into that. Kanan goes downstairs to the kitchen, and Rock is there with a bloody shirt from the last episode. Y'all remember how the last episode ended? Remember she was in Kanan's bedroom, preparing the laundry. Of course, she look up under the bed, pull out the bloody shirt. Now that's on the table right here in front of Kanan. She got questions. This nigga got answers. What happens is a classic, battle between yourself and your parents. I don't know. So she's told him basically, you know how moms are. Oh, I been knew about this. I was just waiting to see if you was going X, Y, and Z. She hit him with that. Told him that she had found it a couple of days ago. She was just waiting on him to tell her, but he was taking too long, so she brought it to his front door. She knew all about the stash house shit that happened with Marvin and one of Unique's boys. Of course, he tried to lie, but she saw right through the shit. Kanan tried to lie. His mom saw right through the shit. And in this moment, this is where I start to realize that Rock might be my favorite mom in the Power universe. Like, Tasha was dope or whatever, but she had to step up and be, this kind of mom, like Rock and like Mary J. Blige's character in the show. What's the name of Mary J. Blige's character in book 2? Monet. Yeah, she had to step up and be parents like Raquel and Monet, only after everything with James fell apart and she realized she was going to have to look out for herself and get it on her own because this nigga was doing other shit. Rock, she from the gate, like, I am a mom first. I want my child to do X, Y, and Z. We're not trying to do this drug business shit. Like, there's no end to this shit. I want this nigga to get out, have a good life. Go to college, make a lot of money, take me out of this shit, and be straight. But other than that, I really just like how direct she is with Kanan. It kind of reminds me of my mom. Like, when it's time to cut the bullshit and the friendly shit and the play shit off, like, it goes off. We get to business and really discuss what it is that need to be discussed. And Rock is like that. She's a perfect blend of, like, motherly, sweetness or whatever, but very much stern in Kanan's life and making sure he knows, like, I'm gonna be your mom first. All this other shit comes after me and you. And I need you to be real with me at all times, and I'm gonna be real with you at all times. I fuck with that. Meanwhile, Monet Tejada, she gangster through and through. Her kids barely like her because she always hard on them. She'll never soften up with the kids. But that's beside the point. We pull up on Detective Malcolm and his partner, Detective Burke is her name. I finally did my Googles. Detective Burke. We pull up on Detective Malcolm and Detective Burke. They're at the now cleared out stash house where all that shit happened with Marvin and Unique's homeboy or lackey. I don't know. And Kanan. They noticed the blood on the floor and the vomit that we know is Kanan's vomit. At this point, though, I'm starting to see that, like, Marvin is a big liability in Rock's organization because it was dumb as fuck and sloppy as fuck for them to, like, not clean up that blood and the vomit. Like, all that DNA evidence, they could figure out a way to track that back. You know what I'm saying? So I thought when Marvin told Kanan they was gonna be cleaning that shit up, that's what they meant, but clearly not. Luckily, Detective Malcolm knows what time it is with the stash house. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody reported the shooting, but we ain't got no damn victim. So, case closed. I ain't finna invest in this. This obviously was a crack house or a drug house, a stash house, something. And it's no longer that. So, fuck it. Let's move on. We're not finna write no reports. On to the next. Meanwhile, Rock, Marvin, and Lou are at the table, I think at Rock's house, and they having a discussion, right? Rock questions Marvin about the details he left out from the stash house hit, and of course this nigga tries to lie, and she shut all that down like quickly and went off on this nigga like just went crazy on the boy, snapped on him, called him all kind of dumbs, and just really chew him out for having Kanan fucked up in that shit. Like, and everything that happened at the stash house, losing half of the product and the money. Like, Rock was pissed, and clearly because these are her brothers, she don't have no sympathy or give no fucks about letting them know how she feel. And that's what she did to Marvin, with Lou having her back. It definitely made Marvin feel bad. You can see after the scene closing, now he got that look on his face like, damn, I done fucked up. Yeah, nigga, because what the fuck? The next scene, we cut over to Kanan and Symphony. They having a dope little bonding moment after class gets out. Kanan likes the class. Symphony likes that Kanan is in this class. Symphony takes a second though, like while he's admiring Kanan's craftsmanship of, I believe that's the Queens Bridge he built. He gives him a quick history lesson on the bridges in New York, specifically a Queens Bridge. I believe that is what Kanan was building. Basically gives us a history lesson on it and how it was basically founded on racism. You know what I'm saying? White people didn't want to drive through the hoods to get into Manhattan or these other areas of New York that they wanted to go without dealing with black people. And so they just built bridges over these neighborhoods, tore neighborhoods down to construct the bridge, taking them from their front door straight over to the comfortable areas that they wanted to be in. I don't know how true that is. I'm not an architect. I don't work on bridges for a living, nor am I from New York. So, I mean, it's possible, though. I believe it. Honestly, I don't know if it's true, but I believe it. But these kind of little, like, learning moments, these history lessons or whatever, these are dope. I really appreciate the team over at Power Universe for incorporating that into this particular series. I think it's dope that we get all of these like little backstories about New York from what Jukebox was telling us about Ralph Lauren. And, we just got this history lesson about these bridges and how skyscrapers back then, or what was considered to be skyscrapers or multi-rises or whatever, sky rises, whatever the fuck you call them, apartment buildings, they originally were for, wealthy folks or whatever, but eventually black people moved in and the government, or the New York government, I should say, figured out a way to turn them shits into project homes and keep black people and other people of color fucked up in the worst neighborhoods in the city. But I like the little history lessons. It's dope. Whether it's true or not, or 100% factual or not, like, I like that they are making sure that these little moments get highlighted within the show, because the history lessons and the things I'm learning is pretty dope. Anyway, Symphony gives Kanan his phone number and tell him to hit him up anytime. They seem to both like each other now. It's cool. Kanan asks him, you really like my mom, huh? He's like, yeah, I'm fucking with your mom. She dope. Anyways, I'm paraphrasing. But Kanan pretty much gave Symphony the go ahead, the okay to be with his mom, I guess. They had this weird little male bonding moment. We go back over to Lou and Marvin, and they are still discussing Marvin's fuck up with Kanan and Unique Slacky or whatever at the stash house. Apparently Marvin is prone to fucking up and even served a bid behind it. And Lou is like, bruh, I'm not going to jail or dying for your shit, bro. I'm trying to make this money, take care of my family, and be good. Please stop fucking up with the bullshit. They end up getting into an argument. They both threw some like low blows at each other. Some personal shit was said or whatever. And they end up fist fighting. They scrapping on the ground a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Then a police car rolls by, you know, hit the little sirens, the little megaphone, break it up. And, you know, of course, they stop fighting because niggas ain't trying to go to jail just for having a little brotherly dispute. You know what I'm saying? We cut back over to Detective Malcolm, though, and he's having like a checkup visit with his doctor again. Apparently, he was able to get in contact with some family down in Alabama, the cousins that he said wasn't going to fuck with him. And he still holds like, oh, they was going to try to extort me anyway or whatever if the shit came back as a match. According to the doctor, none of them did come back as a match for bone marrow transplant that Detective Malcolm needs to like fight this leukemia or whatever. The doctor advises him to make some lifestyle changes while she waits to hear back from a bone marrow transplant registry that could get him the actual marrow that he needs. But Detective Malcolm looks so damn defeated and uninterested in taking her advice that, you know, he's like, man, fuck it. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna keep smoking my cigarettes, eating what the fuck I want. It is what it is. He hopeless at this point. But, I mean, I guess he don't really have nothing else to fall back on other than this registry that the doctor just told him, you know, percentage chances are not very favorable. But it is what it is. We cut back over to Kanan, Famous, and Jukebox. They're at the bodega that is Rock's new stash house. Of course, they don't know, but they at the bodega. I peeped now. At least the wife of the store owner knows who the fuck Kanan and his friends are, you know, in relation to Raquel and the whole drug business. Because the store owner dude, the husband or whatever, he was kind of tripping a little bit. She had a whisper in his ear, like, get your shit together now. Like, this is X, Y, and Z. No. He changed that tune a little bit. Kanan, Famous, and Jukebox, they, you know, catching up about everything. Jukebox decided to reveal to the boys that she done lost her virginity or whatever. Famous had an interesting reaction to that. I feel like I thought they knew that she is not into guys, but apparently Famous was under the impression that he was supposed to take her virginity. But that whole conversation turns into Kanan talking about the stash house incident, and that leads to Jukebox basically saying she feel like Davina is the snitch or whatever, because obviously Kanan told her, you know, you was talking to her outside the stash house. So Jukebox cleverly puts two and two together and feels like Davina might have been the one that snitched him out. But of course, Kanan's like infatuated with this girl, so he ain't having that. The whole conversation at this point blows up. Immediate tension. Kanan storms out. Jukebox goes to chase him down to make sure he knows, like, you know, I'm not trying to comfort a girl or nothing like that, but I'm just putting two together. Kanan ain't having that. You know, he feel like it's on scrap or whatever because conveniently he was sick on the day the stash house got hit. But Jukebox is not feeling that because she knows that Scrap is a loyal dude. The conversation gets a little bit more heated. You know, they exchange some unpleasantries and ultimately end on bad terms or whatever. Kanan is not trying to hear the Davina shit, and he wants Scrap to be the person that fucked up, because I feel like if Kanan admits Davina fucked up, then he gotta admit that he fucked up, because she would have never known he was in that stash house if he come running out like some damn puppy trying to get her attention. I could tell though that Jukebox wasn't really tripping like that. I mean, she got mad and she stormed off or whatever, but she wasn't like tripping. She understood. And I could feel like Kanan is just mad. She was just like a little hurt at Kanan's reaction to her saying this shit. And the stuff that he was fucking saying to her was kind of fucked up. But I could tell like Kanan, he kind of knew he was overreacting, but he was still mad. So he just let the conversation be heated and end how it ended. This was confirmed, a few scenes later after Famous like caught up with Jukebox and invited her to the studio. And the next scene, and saying, of course, it's childish and y'all gonna move past it. So don't even trip. Don't let this little incident ruin the opportunity I'm trying to present to you. Like, let's go to the studio and make this shit happen. We catch back up with Rock and Marvin, though, who are looking at the apartment unit they're about to rent out. But apparently the current renter is still living there and not interested in leaving. And honestly, bro, I feel, dog, like it's fucked up that the landlord is even showing his apartment, knowing he still lived there. Like the man furniture still in the shed. He got food on the stove, refrigerator still packed out. You know what I'm saying? You in my shit, showing off my apartment, knowing damn well I'm not about to exit my lease or nothing. Like I'm still living here. What the fuck? So I understand why the dude was upset, and the ass whooping that he ends up getting for just letting it be known like this is my shit, I don't plan on moving. I feel like that ass whooping should have went to the motherfucking landlord. Like Marvin should have been knocking blood out of that nigga's nose for even showing them this damn apartment, knowing somebody who don't got nothing to do with this shit is still living there. Rock stops the ass whooping that Marvin is handing old boy though before it goes too far, and decides to reason with this man while she also reminds him like, bitch, you know who I am in the street, so you might as well just let me get this and take the money and be good. The next scene after that is, like I said earlier, Famous invited Jukebox to the studio, and then the scene cuts back to Rock and Marvin, and she's explaining why the apartment units, like why one on top of the other, the little chute that she's about to install or have them install so that they could just toss their shit in the apartment below if they see any feds coming from up top. Like she got a whole setup and a whole plan in mind, and these two units are pivotal in that. So old boy gotta go. We go back to Kanan though, who is like rushing in the house. He go upstairs to his room, lifts his mattress, and we see a gun that he's trying to reach for. But Raquel walks in on him to talk, and she explains that she has spoke to Marvin about the stash house incident, claims to not want to know more than what she already knows about the shit that he's doing behind her back. Kanan rebuttals saying he's tired of being played and he wants to learn how to cook. Rock is like, she needs to think about it, and Kanan reminds her, he's just like her, and he's not going to wait too long for somebody to show him something that he want to do. I could tell by Rock's like reaction and response to the things Kanan is saying that like she see a lot of herself in that nigga. She know just continuing to play mind games with him and try to get him interested in being a student other than learning this business is not gonna work out. So eventually she's gonna have to teach him something. That's what I feel like she knows in her heart. We cut over though to Rock dropping off Kanan at his pizza shop hangout, and in the distance we see Detective Malcolm following them. Now Detective Malcolm and his partner Detective Burke, I'm gonna remember this lady's name, they notice that Kanan waits for Rock to drive off before he leaves the pizza shop and goes on to do his own thing. In that brief little moment, Detective Malcolm gives us and Detective Burke a rundown of Kanan's like family legacy, who his father is, how he's connected to like 4 other cases they got going on, including the death of D-Wiz and the death of Buck 20. So they like, yeah, let's just follow this nigga and see where the trail leads. So we gotta use the prince to get to the queen. We see Kanan pull up on an alleyway where Scrap is shooting dice with his homeboys. Kanan approaches Scrap and ultimately basically accuses him of snitching on the stash house. Now, of course, Scrap ain't having that. He know he ain't tell nothing. And at this moment, I just feel like Kanan knows that it was not Scrap that snitched, but he's so like dedicated and not believing that it was actually Davina that he's like, man, fuck it. I think this nigga did it. I'm going to get him to say he did it one way or the other. They end up fighting because Kanan won't smoke and motherfucking Scrap is not about to step down just because he's Rock's kid. But like I said, Detective Malcolm and Detective Burke, they was following Kanan. So they pull up, arrest them for fighting or whatever, and take them down to the police station. We cut back over to Rock. She's at the stash house at the bodega. And the little owner dude, he seems shifty as fuck. You know, he nervous. He talking about, I'm taking a big risk by having y'all here. If the police find this, I'm going to jail, not y'all. She like told this nigga, this is why we paying you so much money. You agreed on it. He want a raise. She like, hell nah, bitch. If we start discussing raises, we're going to be discussing fish. She had a dope little quote. She was like, when we negotiate the terms, we shake hands. When we renegotiate the terms, we throwing hands. And I was like, all right, now fuck with that. That shit was hard. Me personally, though, I don't trust this bodega owner. He seems scary as fuck. He trying to press them for more money. Like, he always making little faces or whatever. If he'll end up snitching, he gonna end up giving them up to Unique or something gonna happen. Like, this nigga can't be trusted. Let's throw on the dude. So I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. Back at the police station though, Detective Malcolm is questioning Kanan. Of course, Kanan, you know, we don't talk to cops. Like, I ain't trying to do all that. I'm gonna wait for my legal guardian to get here, my peoples and them to come pick me up. Detective Malcolm pretty much tell him like, bro, I could be charging you, but I'm not. Just tell me what the fuck I need to know. I ain't trying to get into your personal business. Just give me a little information. Now, this scene is where things start to get a little like question marky. Question marky. It's why I started to like see some shit, right? Because Detective Malcolm, he made a comment about thinking Kanan was older once Kanan told him what his date of birth was or whatever. That made me think, okay, either he got his info wrong all along or Kanan's father isn't who the show has been telling us Kanan's father is. Because, like, I don't know. It was just weird that he stopped. Like, damn, I thought you was this old, but you saying you born in this time? All right. Symphony walks in the station, though, after Kanan. It's like, why do you care about my birthday like this? And, Symphony and Detective Malcolm, they have a little exchange of words, some brother man talk. I really like that Symphony's like pro-black, is like, knowledge and history based. But then on the flip side, like Detective Malcolm's kind of like pro-black, is based in like street and hood. I don't know. It's a duality that black people tend to have, and I'm glad that they kind of like showcasing it, because on one side people are like pro-black to the point that they don't like to be called nigga like Symphony, or brother by other black men who are not my blood or their blood brother. Then on the other side, like, you got somebody like Detective Malcolm who comes from the street, know how niggas get down, is black, pro-black I should say, in that whole way of street and hood mentality, I guess. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Detective Malcolm ends up releasing Kanan to Symphony, and after they leave, he decides to do a little investigation on the timeline of Kanan's birth and his father, who is incarcerated. His name is Defcon. So Kanan told Detective Malcolm, right? He told him, I was born August 15th, 1975 or whatever. But when we look on Detective Malcolm's little, 1990s IBM desktop with the black and green, it says that Defcon was arrested September 14th, 1974, and his incarceration date is October 9th, 74. So the timeline for him being Kanan's father is like, it's wild, bro. It can't be right. Like, you telling us, or Kanan telling us he was born August 75, but Def Con's incarceration date is October 74. That's over 9 months apart. They got to be like 10 or 11 if you like, trying to be exact about it. So something is a little off right there. We'll, get into it later on in an episode. Y'all know how this shit ended. I'm just recapping and giving my little opinion. But we head back over to the studio. Famous is cutting the track, but the vocalist that was supposed to be on it with him flaked, due to Camacho's poor payment history. Apparently this nigga don't be paying nobody and just saying, I got you after this, I got you after this. He hasn't been paying the engineer. He ain't been paying the guys down the hall working or nothing like that. So Lou steps in with the bankroll. Lou got the cash, and he kind of bails Camacho out right there. Just paying the board op, telling him, take the rest of this money, pay who need to be paid. I got it. In exchange, my niece is going to be singing on this record. Now, Jukebox is there in the studio. We saw her, like, as soon as we cut into the scene, Lou daps her up or whatever. But, she just trying to play it cool. Like, she took Famous's invite to the studio. She's there. She ain't trying to be in nobody's face. But after this moment, she like, okay, what you want me to do? I appreciate it, but I don't really want it like this. Like, I'm not trying to impose or nothing like that. Lou sat down real quick, had a quick conversation with him, was like, look, this is me paying for your studio time. Like, I'm trying to look out for you. You're my niece. Go in there and do what you're supposed to do. Jukebox is like, all right, I'm finna go in there and shine then. We go back to Kanan and Symphony, who, Symphony just picked him up from the police station. Now he's trying to drop him off. And Kanan basically tell him, I don't want you to tell my mom what happens. Symphony, the best he could do is say, I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to offer her the information. But if she asks me, I'm not going to lie for you either. And I respect that because he was making it very clear he don't want to get in between Kanan and his mom or whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to have your back and look out for you. Make sure I'm not going to run and tell her nothing. But then if she asks me, I'm going to be honest because she deserved that from me and you, but I understand why you didn't want her to know. We cut back over to Jukebox in the studio though, and she is wearing her vocals out. Like, she killing this shit, bro. Like, singing down. And everybody in that shit is like in awe. Like, goddamn, she just fucking bodied that. And look like Famous and her might have a little hit on their hands. The showcase might really work out for both. We cut over to Scrap though, and he's walking home from the police station. Apparently he was there a lot longer than Kanan was, but he did get let go. Rock pulls up on him, and Scrap being the nigga he's like, before you even reach for a gun, like, this is what happened. Kanan stuck to me. I know he your son, but I couldn't let him pump me like that in front of your boys or my boys, so I did what I had to do. Rock was just like, man, just get in. Let me talk to you or whatever. And that look that she had on her face as the scene was closing, I was like, damn, yeah, she's really getting scared for Kanan. Like, she keep finding out shit that she didn't know. Because I don't think Rock knew that anybody had been at the police station, especially not Kanan. Maybe she did. But she had a look on her face like, the disappointment of finding out things like this from other people is like starting to wear on her. And I get it, because she loved that nigga at the end of the day. That's her son. Like, she loves her son. So she knows street life is headed for her son. We head back to Juke and her storyline. She is with Nicole and they spending some more, lovebird cute time, some quality time, hanging out, laughing, joking or whatever. She's playing Nicole, the new record. Her and Famous just cut in the studio with Crown Camacho. They have a quick conversation about white people's spaghetti versus black people's spaghetti, and all I'm gonna say is this shit is true. it's different. We be doing spaghetti different over here on the black side. It's 10 times better compared to the other shit, but that's neither here nor there. They start making out heavy to the point that they ain't even hear this girl's mom walk in. She walks in, catches Jukebox and Nicole tonguing each other down, and flips the fuck out, instantly blaming the black girl. Of course, she coming straight for Jukebox. You did this and you doing this, X, Y, and Z. Now, I've been telling y'all since episode 3 or two. I've been telling y'all they was gonna get caught. I knew this shit was gonna happen. They was gonna catch Jukebox and Nicole in the heat of the moment, and they was gonna blame Jukebox because she the little black girl from Southside Jamaica, Queens. I knew this shit was gonna happen because racism. Jukebox is clearly shook though. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe she's out to anybody except for Kanan. And this is her first love, and her mom coming in flipping out on that to treat her so nicely all this time. Like, Jukebox was fucked up behind this. Nicole too. And it's crazy because, like, I felt like Nicole mom was overreacting like a motherfucker, like threatening rape charges on the girl if she ever catch Nicole and Jukebox hanging out again. I'm just like, damn, she overreacting. But then at the same time, I get it. It's the early 90s, and homophobia and, white people just assuming all black people are inherently bad and all this other shit whenever they get in trouble with their kids and their kids be the one that started the shit in the first place. Like, I get it. I feel like Nicole should have maybe stood up a little harder for Jukebox, but at the same time, like I said, I get it. And on top of that, they kids. They never been in this situation before. I mean, Nicole apparently has, been active with other girls before, but not Jukebox. And then on top of that, like, this they first getting caught, I guess. It's interesting though, because I see the dad's expression when he like walks into the room. He trying to get update on everything that just happened, why his wife is screaming at the top of his lungs at this little black girl. And I feel like he would have been a lot more understanding and okay if he would have walked in on them instead of the mom. But I don't know, that's just something I noticed, and I've been noticing, like, every time TV portrays these kind of instances where queer kids get caught, experimenting and loving each other or whatever, it's always the mom that be having the most issues. The dad, they kind of just be like, I get it, so I ain't gonna trip, X, Y, and Z. And they have their own little hang-ups about it that just literally tie into them loving their kid. I don't know, it's crazy. But the moms always be the ones that be overreacting with this kind of shit whenever it's white people. Like, black people, sometimes or most of the time it's in reverse, but that is another conversation for another TV show. Jukebox is leaving Nicole's house. She can barely stand up. She all traumatized and heartbroken and shit. They do the little stare at the window. I'm looking down on you. You looking up at me. We both got tears in our eyes. Parent snatches Nicole away from the window, looks at Jukebox in disgust, and closes the motherfucking curtains. Like, bitch, don't you ever come back over here. We cut back to Rock and Kanan. Rock is teaching Kanan how to cook, even though she's really reluctant about it. And it was in Kanan's response that I realized, this kid who's playing Kid Kanan, his name is Makai Curtis. He's doing a really good job with this role. It's just now that I'm realizing, damn, he even sound like a little 50 Cent. Like, the way he's speaking or whatever, I'm like, I hear 50 Cent's voice coming out of this man's face when he is acting. And I'm like, damn, that's dope. He's young. He's doing the work necessary to really portray this character in the best way possible. And he's doing a good job. But back to the story. Rock teaches him the steps and the rules to cooking. Rule number 1 being you never cook where you sleep. And that has to be the most important rule about anything illegal. You never do illegal activities where you going to lay your head at night. This an old saying. You don't eat where you shit, or shit where you eat, or shit where you sleep. One of those phrases is what I'm saying, and y'all get what I'm saying. We cut over to Scrap, who is having a meeting with Unique. Apparently he wants to switch teams from Team Raquel to Team Unique. Rightfully so. Unique has a bunch of questions. He don't understand, damn, why you want to be on my side out of the blue. But ultimately he convinces Unique. I actually think, laughing because I feel like it's predictable, right? But I think Scrap is going to be a mole. Rock, in that conversation when she pulled him in the car to picking him off of the street, she concocted a plan for Scrap to go undercover in Unique's business to basically let her know this nigga's every move and how his whole operation is set up. It only makes sense to me. I don't feel like Rock pulled Scrap in that car and told him, you fired and fuck you, nigga. Like, I'm pretty sure if it was really a situation, Rock would have just killed Scrap and been done with it. So we'll see what happens in later episodes, but I feel like Scrap is about to play secret agent over there in Unique's camp, giving Rock all the play-by-play on this man's whole operation. From the end of that conversation, though, we start a whole montage that is musically backed by Black Sheep's The Choice Is Yours. You could get with this or you could get with that, which fitting because like we talked about earlier, the title of episode 5 is Choose Your Battles. In this montage, though, we get Kanan successfully cooking his first rock, at the guidance of his mother, Raquel. Marvin and the crew getting ready to start construction in the apartment units that Raquel secured. Lou and Jessica are fucking in the studio. Great place to fuck. Jukebox is walking home in shambles after the situation with her and Nicole. And we got 50 Cent narrating a monologue about his life choices right at the moment of the montage where Rock is teaching Kanan how to cut his cooked product for sale. The montage ends with Unique accepting Scrap into his crew. So we cut back over to Rock and Detective Malcolm. Detective Malcolm popped up on Rock unexpectedly. She's outside taking out her trash and he walks up. He's questioning her about the timeline of Kanan's birth compared to DEF CON's incarceration records and his intuition regarding Kanan being his son. He wondered back in the day when he said he saw Raquel pushing Kanan around in the stroller, but he didn't want to dig deeper because maybe he felt like he didn't want to know. But Rock is trying to play dumb, but of course Detective Malcolm, he ain't for that shit. He cut through it already. He already added up the days and the numbers, checked the records. You were not allowed any conjugal visits, or DEF CON wasn't allowed any conjugal visits. So ain't no way he got kids running around here after his incarceration. So Detective Malcolm just cut straight to the point. Kanan is my son, and you've been lying to me about it. Rock says nothing. She just stares at him with a stuck face, deer in headlights, 100%. And Detective Malcolm turns away and walks off. Like on some I knew it shit. And the episode ends here with that cliffhanger being the last piece of information we receive on this episode. I think that the blood that Kanan left on that little handkerchief that Detective Malcolm gave him to like wipe his lip at the police station, I think he might have just tested that shit against his blood and the results came back. I don't know if that's what happened because I know DNA tests take a little time or whatever. It might have really just been some 2 and 2 shit and he gonna use that blood for later. But I made note that they put attention and focus on that handkerchief with that blood spot on there from Kanan's lip. So we'll see if it come back around at some point. But that is the end of episode 5. We got that cliffhanger, just to recap, we didn't get much of Marvin this episode, which is fine because after what Rock said to him, he's been through enough. A little squabble he got in with Lou, like he good. I do want to see what is going to happen with his white queen, Tony, but we'll see about that in later episodes. Rock finally taught Kanan something about the business other than, stash house etiquette. He done cooked his first rock. Lou and Jessica, they making bigger moves in the whole music space. What else we got? Unique has taken Scrap in. Like I said, I feel like Scrap is about to play mole, so we'll see how that turns out. That's going to be interesting. Rock got her apartment units for stashing shit. Like the story is moving along. Jukebox and Nicole are up in the air. I feel like Nicole is going to be, the defiant white girl and make sure she comes see about her lady. Fuck what her parents got to say. Who knows how Juke is going to react to that because, different life, completely different race, everything. I feel like Kanan is going to have a conversation with Davina soon, and it's going to be revealed she was the snitch. We'll see how Kanan handles that. Like, the story done moved up a little bit. Definitely not a filler episode. This was, well, if you want to call it a filler episode, it's one of the important ones again. It wasn't just bullshit in here. Like, the story is moving a lot more than it did on the last week's episode. But I'm excited. All that shit I just named, I'm pretty sure there's other stuff that I'm just not even thinking about right now. But I'm going to just wrap right here because y'all seen the episode, so y'all know what I'm talking about. And when we get to episode 6, we're going to break that down too and have the discussion. But until then, I catch you on the next installment of the Talk and Play Blurred Cast. I think next I'm going to be covering a bunch of Marvel shit. So if you a Marvel head, stick around. If not, just wait for me to upload my recap / review on episode 6. It's not out yet at time of recording. But when it is out and I do the review, it'll be on the Blurred Cast. Catch y'all on the next one.